Hi there, this week we're going to have a look at some exercises you can do to strengthen your horse's back. After listening to my other videos about the importance of the back and how important it is to make your horse's back strong so that they can support you as a rider, let's have a look at some of the ways you can strengthen that. There's a lot of talk about correct riding. Now that's great if you're a really good rider, but if you're like me and balance and the stillness of your hands and your ability on the horse is still developing, then maybe not on the horse's back is the best way to do these exercises. So let's have a look at some of the ways that I guess us non-professional dressage riders can really help to strengthen our horse's back without going under saddle. Remembering one of the core issues with the horse is that when we want it to work correctly under saddle, we want those back muscles to actually be relatively relaxed and able to contract and relax as they need as per the movement under the horse's back. If that horse is stressed and the muscles across their back there are very tight, you're limiting the horse's movement and they're not able to flow correctly. So step one, even in doing your strengthening exercises, is to make sure you're working with a relaxed horse. Any horse with a high level of anxiety, stress, or even pain will be tensing those muscles in a way that is going to make the back very rigid and not get the results that we want from these strengthening and mobility exercises. So I'm going to go through a couple of my go-to exercises and some that are a little bit more in detail. So not only can these be done by, I guess, more of a novice rider who doesn't want to do this under saddle in case they do it incorrectly, but also a horse with a more experienced rider who may have some issues in their back so severe that they don't really want to be ridden at this time. My first exercise, which is really easy, is called a belly lift. Now, in the belly lift, what we're asking the horse to do is contract its abdominal muscles. What we want is for the horse to contract that and lift its back, much like the way that we want them to lift when we're riding under saddle and contract those muscles. In a way, you can kind of see this as a bit of a reverse sit-up, if you like, where we're forcing the horse to do the sit-up type motion. So how we do this is we run along the midline of the horse underneath the thoracic region. So there's where the ribs meet together and those muscles. So the way we do this is basically by giving a bit of a poke or a touch under the belly of the horse. This is a bit of a trained response. So sometimes the horses don't react with a big stretch, but we need to train them that when we do this, this is the response that we're expecting from them. So what I tend to do is go down where the ribs meet together and there's like a natural dip in that underthoracic region near the neck, and I start in that dip with my fingers and my nails and I give a push upwards. As I push upwards, I kind of wriggle my fingers a bit because that's making the horse say, "Oh, what's that?" And if you get that response of a back lift, you release that pressure immediately. As you go further along, that pressure can be less and you can ask the horse to hold it for a little bit longer. But remember, this is a brand new exercise for them, so sometimes it takes a while to master. If you're having trouble getting that response initially, you might be able to use a hoof pick. And now this is not to jab or hurt the horse, but maybe if you don't have nails, you can use it as an extension of those fingers to really just try and initiate that response that you want. But if you can hold this lift and ask the horse to do this 4 or 5 times a day, you're really going to help these abdominal muscles and stretch out those vertebral processes. There are obviously also a lot of stretches you can do. There are a lot of carrot stretches where we go side to chest to between legs. I've got other videos on that and I might do one again that's a little bit more detailed. So you can add your stretches in as well. In terms of really strengthening those muscles, what are the other things I like to do? working on a hill. It's a fantastic opportunity. So what you can do with your horse in hand, just in a halter and lead rope, simply reversing the horse up a hill. By reversing up the hill, it increases their core stability, their proprioception. They have to think about what they're doing and where they're placing. They will contract their abdominal muscles, and they're also going to contract some of those lumbosacral muscles that we want to strengthen as well. So simply reversing the horse up a hill can be a fantastic way to strengthen that back. When you're doing that, please remember it's also very important that your horse doesn't have its head right in the air. So until you've got that relaxed position with the head down and a proper reverse, don't do the uphill work. Now you could do that 4 to 5 times a day, and that's going to really give the horse a bit of a hand in strengthening those back muscles. But while you're on the hill, there's other things you can do. Poles and cavalettes on the hill. Simply walking a horse up the hill and making them go over poles. This gives that sort of moment of hesitation where they contract their abdominal muscles. They often look down at the pole, which will give you that better outline, and they must stabilise their body while they go over it up a hill. And turn the horse around and go back down the hill over the same pole. Exactly the same thing. It's probably more abdominal contraction on the way down, more lumbosacral contraction, but all of these are exactly the muscles we want to work to give the horse a really nice strong back. Again, you could do this 5 to 10 times a day, depending on how much you need to strengthen your horse's back. So the next thing I like to do is convert the arena into a bit of a playground for the horse using poles and cavalettes. Anything where you're leading them in hand on the ground, maybe through a labyrinth, which makes them have to stop and turn and think. You're doing a lot of transitions, a lot of balance, connecting their brain to these muscles that they need to stabilize their body, slowing their body down. So if you're going around a corner, for example, the horse has to stop, think, turn, and all that time he's contracting his abdominal muscles and often again looking down at where he's going, which is quite helpful. As well as labyrinths, the other thing you can do is make a star shape out of your poles and simply lead the horse around. Again, you're getting them to look down, you're improving their proprioception, and you're making them use those abdominal muscles and lift their back and lift their hind legs correctly to get over these. You could do a normal star shape on the ground, and then you can change that up by lifting some of them using a milk crate or anything so that they're at different heights, and that's really going to make your horse have to think and stop about how high they have to lift their legs and what they're doing with their body. Makes them very aware, helps this proprioception, and again, we're contracting the right muscles. If you want to go one step further, you can even create bridges that the horse needs to walk across. They need to stabilise themselves to get up and stabilise to get down, or even a podium or a big box. And if you're really good at training your horse in hand, you can get them to hop up onto that and hop down. And you can imagine then the stabilisation required for the horse to stand on the box and get back down. So these are really great exercises as well in hand, and see, none of these need the rider on the back. As the horse progresses with this, we can do some of these exercises at a trot. So often it's handy to use some lunging apparatus or a system. Now when I say system, I mean a way that you can ensure your horse understands that lunging means they need to come through from behind and have a lowered neck. So we don't want to tie the horses down in a way where they're contracting those underneath neck muscles. We want them to relax into it. This way we're getting the right movement from the horse. There are a lot of these lunging systems about, and your system may simply be training your horse to lower its head without any gadgets or apparatus on it. The one I like to use is actually by Horse Problems Australia, so if you haven't been over there, have a look. And he uses something called a running rein system. And the reason I like this is we're not tying the horse down. What we're doing is enabling the horse to find the most comfortable position it can with its head and neck in the correct position. However you do this and whatever system you use is okay, as long as we're not getting tight under muscles and the horse is working through from behind as well. Don't graduate to these exercises in the trot too fast or on the lunge too fast, because if your horse hasn't developed those muscles just in hand and at walk, you're going to get the incorrect muscles again. So just a bit of a recap. There are so many back strengthening exercises we can do with the horse without being on their back and inhibiting their muscles. So as a recap, let's do the belly lift. We can do the reversing uphill. We can do up and down hills over a pole. And we can use our arena as a playground by using labyrinth or star poles or raised cavalettis. Of course, you can kind of do all this if you just take your horse for a walk in hand and you go out to the countryside and you can find banks to go up and down or bridges to go across, and all of this is going to achieve the same thing and maybe having a little bit more fun with your horse on the way. So if you like these videos, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you click the like button below, and it'd be great if you could leave some comments. You know, I loved the video, I didn't like this exercise, I've got a better one, or any kind of comment that you like, I'll try to reply to them. And hopefully with the subscription you'll get notified of my video next week so that you know when it's released. Thanks and see you next week.